Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new day of Road to TCG Worlds 2017. Now today is Monday, Sheffield Regionals and St. Louis Regionals just concluded, but because today I am on my way to Australia for the Oceania International Championship, I unfortunately cannot bring you an analysis of the results. I also don't know as of today, because today is Thursday, what did well and what didn't at the tournament, but I figured Anaheim is still fresh in everybody's minds, and John Kettler's deck definitely must have turned some eyes, because many people consider Decidueye a good card but not outstanding. Many people, including myself, combined it with Tauros, with Lugia, and maybe some other partners, but John Kettler, who got top 16 at Anaheim and was very close to getting top 8, ended up pairing it with Vileplume, with a very thin 2-2-2 line of Vileplume, but that ends up being great because it limits your opponent's Pokemon by a lot and makes your Lysandres that much stronger, because you can abuse Decidueye's ability, and also makes Tauros stronger, simply because it's less likely that your opponent will be able to play around the Tauros through Escape Rope or through recycling Lysandres, so Tauros can actually deal a ton of damage once your opponent hits into it. So let's review the deck list really quickly here. A very thick 4-4-4 Decidueye line, as I mentioned, and then we have a 2-2-2 Vileplume line in order to stop your opponents and your own item cards, but you have your deck built around not using item cards, so it's really not that big a deal for you, but it'll usually stop your opponent quite badly. Decidueye, as most of you know, 240 HP, which is a lot, has the ability to place 2 damage counters every turn per Decidueye, deals 90 damage for a grass and 2 colorless, and can use Hollow Hunt in order to recover any 3 cards from your discard pile. So Hollow Hunt is definitely a lot more useful in Vileplume versions of the deck, simply because you can recycle Lysandres, you can recycle TCEs, you can recycle and potentially or even a whole new Decidueye line. Whereas in the non-Vileplume versions, you really want to focus more on using Mad Bull GX off of Tauros. Tauros is here to provide support for Decidueye. It's also here to cover for its weakness, not because it's a water type and it can deal with fire types, but rather simply because it doesn't share the fire type weakness. So if your opponent doesn't have the 1-hit KO on the Tauros, they will very likely not attack it, and if they wait quite a few turns for you to, or for them to set themselves up for a 1-hit KO, you can actually pressure them with your Horn attack, which deals a straight up 60 damage. Mad Bull GX is once again another GX option along with Decidueye's, but I feel like it's less likely that you will be able to use it in, well, no, it's more likely that you will be able to use it, that's what I meant to say. It's more likely that you will be able to use it effectively, but you only have 1 Tauros here instead of like the normal 2 to 3 that you would run, or that you would run in non-Vileplume versions. So like a very big skill sensitive portion of this deck is knowing if you need to save your GX attack for the Mad Bull, or you can afford to use Decidueye to recover more resources. A single Lugia-EX, because you can also pile up energy onto Lugia and sweep up an opponent's Pokemon that way. I did use that strategy in order to beat a Volcanion deck with my Lurantis Vileplume, and I apologize for the sound outside. I did use that strategy to beat a Volcanion, so it definitely works here as well, and it's even better thanks to Decidueye's ability. And our 3 Shaymin, not 2 but 3 Shaymin, in order to draw a ton of cards, and even setting up some Sky Return damage can actually be really good. The supporter line is actually very thin. It only has 4 Sycamore, 2 N, and 2 Lysandre, which I'm not exactly happy about because you can't recycle the supporters, so knowing when to use each one is very important, and especially not discarding too many resources off of your first Sycamore or second Sycamore is very important, simply because you don't have an unlimited or extra copies of each card in the name of Versus Seeker. I forgot to mention, John did run a Jirachi as well. That also helps stop like big Mega Mewtwo's that want to build up a ton of energy to want to kill the Tauros. It helps stop Mega Rayquaza as well. Can catch some Yveltals off guard, so definitely a very useful tech right here. Aside from the supporters, we have consistency. We have 4 Ultra Ball and 3 Level Ball, which get you your Vileplumes and your Decidueyes out. 4 Trainer's Mail as well, in order to get the Stadiums, the Ultra Balls, the Level Balls, the Revitalizers as well. 3 Float Stone. Ideally you would have 4, but John could only fit 3. Because you want the Float Stone not only for Decidueye, but also for Vileplume. Now, this is the one deck where if you don't get the Float Stone on the Vileplume in time, it's not the end of the world, because even if your opponent leaves the Vileplume in the active slot, you can still use your Decidueye's abilities to chip at your opponent's bench Pokemon, so it's not that big a deal. And with 2 Revitalizer, odds are you will be able to replace Vileplume pretty much immediately after it goes down. And finally, a 4/4 energy split, 4 DCE, 4 grass energy, and that's it. So let's see if we can do well with this deck today. And like I mentioned, guys, I am pre-recording this, so, and I have to pre-record like 2 weeks worth of videos because I will be 2 weeks in Australia. So I hope you guys can bear with me. I'll still be active. I'll still be on Facebook, on my Twitter if you want to follow me there. I will be posting like photos from Australia, from the event. Definitely a lot of cool things happening. And yeah, looks like we're up against a fire type deck, but no water means it's not Volcanion. So what other fire type good Pokemon out there is there? It could be Incineroar GX, maybe. That'd be interesting to see. I don't know what else it could be. I generally don't know what else it could be. I am going first. I do have 3 of my 8 energy in my starting hand and a Sycamore, so that's not really good. We see a Fighting Fury Belt, we see Fire Energy. Oh, this is Houndoom. Uh-oh. This is actually Houndoom. That could actually be a big problem here. That could actually be a big problem. We could also win on turn 1 by getting 2 Decidueyes up and KOing the Rattata, but I really doubt that's gonna be an option. Now, see, thing is, I have very few item cards. Hello. I have very few, not item cards, I mean, I have very few energy, and his deck specializes in removing energy. So yeah, this is not a good situation for us. Yikes. Do I even bother powering up Decidueye? Or, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bench the Shaymin, and I'm gonna attach a TCG to the Shaymin, and I guess I'll Sycamore. I need to set up Decidueyes. Okay, I can set up 1 Decidueye. I could potentially set up 2 with the right combination of cards. I could also set up the Vileplume. Maybe if I set up the Vileplume, that will be enough to neutralize my opponent's threat. So, the Trainer's Mail whiffs. That's bad. That's actually really bad. I'm gonna get rid of these 2. I keep the energy, but I'm not sure that's the best play here. And I'm digging a lot through my deck, which is exactly what my opponent wants me to do, I guess. Okay, but we are actually able to get the turn 1 item lock, and that's absolutely huge. That is absolutely huge. I need to do this simply because otherwise my opponent will have a very easy time getting rid of all my energy and things like that. This way I actually get to conserve some of my energy. And eventually, if I do manage to find the Houndoom or the Vileplume, or not the Vileplume, the Decidueyes, I'll be good here. Okay, one heads, a Revitalizer, and an Ultra Ball. That's fine. Oh boy, but my opponent just attaches and passes. So the turn 1 lock actually deals a ton of damage to him. If I manage to find a Decidueye line, I win this turn. I do not. I'm not able to do that. And maybe the end helped my opponent. I don't have any information regarding that, but I will just Sky Return here. I will not promote this Shaymin because I don't want him to remove my energy. It's likely that he will get something playable out of the end. And yeah, Houndoom is going to put a lot of pressure on us. And there's the Lysandre. Yeah, so that was the worst possible combination of cards my opponent could have had off of the end. Maybe I shouldn't have played the end myself, but I was trying to win the match on that particular turn. And yeah, I mean, this deck, my opponent could even go like aggro Houndoom and completely wreck me, and this is one deck that it is fine playing passively, and there's no amount of damage counters I can place in order to try and beat him here. So he's going to Sycamore, not playing the Team Flare Grunt gives me a chance to potentially retreat the Vileplume. There's a Decidueye, and there's one of the energy that I actually needed. I don't hit the energy. I'm sure my opponent will have the Team Flare Grunt at this point in time. And yeah, there we go. So I'm gonna concede. I have no chance to win here anymore. I will never be able to retreat that Vileplume. And I don't think it was a mistake playing it down. Maybe it was. Maybe I jumped the gun too fast there. Maybe I did jump the gun too fast. But I really wanted to shut my opponent out of options. But the end gave him the exact cards he needed to revert the situation and make it super favorable for him. So yeah, not much I could do there. Let's find another game to try and showcase the deck's ability. If I had gone straight up for the Decidueye-GX instead of setting up the Vileplume off of the Level Ball and the Ultra Ball, that would have actually won me the match right there. So I guess that was my bad. That was definitely my bad. Okay, we are going second this time around against what looks to be a Mega Mewtwo match. Mega Mewtwo, okay. So my opponent gets the Hoopa turn 1, which is obviously great for him. I need to dig deep in my deck in the first turn to maybe put a lot of pressure on my opponent. If he gets Garbodor out though, it's gonna be a really bad match here. Okay, he goes for the 3 Mewtwo's. So no sign of the Trubbish yet. And if he benches all 3, he will only have 1 bench space. So either he focuses on the Shaymin or he goes for the Trubbish. But he actually chooses not to bench the other Mewtwo, which I am okay with. And he decides to discard it, which makes sense. I think that's a smart play. He doesn't really need more than 3 Mega Mewtwo's. He draws into 7 not very useful cards, and I top deck the 1 card that I really needed. So now I can very safely use my Shaymins here. But I really need to find the Float Stone though before I consider evolving into Vileplume. So let's use the first Shaymin here. And we will draw 3 cards. None are useful, besides maybe the Trainer's Mail, which finds us an N. And I guess I'll keep it and I'll play it. There's no point in using Shaymin for an extra 2 cards. Maybe I'll get an option to Ultra Ball for Shaymin off of this hand and actually draw more cards. But no, I do find a Dartrix. I do find the Float Stone, but oh boy. Either of my Pokemon could actually get KO'd this turn. If he has the Spirit Link, the Mega Mewtwo, and an Energy. The least likely to get KO'd is the Shaymin, but that would actually mean that... Okay. Yeah, I want to save the Dartrix here. So I'll promote the Shaymin, which is the least likely to get KO'd. And I will simply pass here. I don't attach the energy because obviously I don't want him to have the clean KO right off the bat. There's the Trubbish. There's the Spirit Link. There's the TCG. Can he get the Float Stone on the Trubbish? If he does, we are in a pretty bad position. He parallels himself, reducing my damage output, but I'm okay with that. Is he going to Sycamore here? I really need the Vileplume though to stop the Garbodor like 100%. And there's a Versus Seeker for a Sycamore. So, okay, he discards a DC and a Mega Turbo. That's good news. There's a Trainer's Mail, so closer to the Float Stone. If he runs a 2-1 line though, okay, he gets an Ultra Ball. Is he going to Ultra Ball for the Garb? Probably not. He Trainer Mails once again. Can he find the Float Stone now? He does. Ugh. That's terrible. That is actually terrible. Yeah, not getting the Vileplume the previous turn was just awful. I mean, if he only plays a 2-1 Garbodor, we might still be okay here. But I'm definitely not counting on it. There's a Versus Seeker for a Lysandre. So he's threatening whatever I get. Because he did that, I'm guessing he already has a supporter in his hand. And I definitely want to save the Shaymin here. But what do I do? Do I end? Do I Lysandre and deal some damage to the Trubbish? No, I think I end here. I need to find another Float Stone, and I also need to keep setting up. Okay, but I find neither. If I use the Ultra Ball, I can get the Vileplume, but I won't have the Float Stone, and that's something I can't afford that. So I'm gonna grab a Shaymin. Now I discarded those 2 Pokemon because I do have the Revitalizer, and I can play down the 2 cards immediately. Even though I don't have a Stadium card, I did manually evolve both of my Pokemon in the normal way. I will use Feather Arrow on the Trubbish to leave it at some sort of range, and I will Sky Return for 4 cards. And I find another Dartrix, I find another Shaymin, but I do not find the Vileplume. Okay, I guess I'll grab Jirachi here, so I can maybe pressure my opponent with it. Is it even worth Sky Returning for 1 card? I don't think so. So I'll just Sky Return. I mean, the odds of the next card being the Vileplume are very low. Oh boy. Not good, guys. Not good. we've seen only a single Ultra Ball. And we know one Vileplume is prized, so it's not easy to get it out. Okay, a second Psychic Energy. He found the Lysandre off of the end once again. I mean, what can you do there? There's nothing I could do to stop that. Oh, please play the escape rope. Obviously he won't be playing it, but things are not looking good, guys. I'm not gonna lie, things are not looking good here. And there's a Carp, so it actually doesn't even matter. If I'd gotten Vileplume out, I would have stopped that Ultra Ball. Therefore, my opponent would not have had access to the Mega Turbo or the Carp. But at this point in time, like, there's absolutely no way I can deal with the Mega Mewtwo. And the next card I top deck is the Float Stone. I could have grabbed the Vileplume before, but without the Float Stone, he had the Lysandre, so he would have KO'd the Vileplume anyways. Oh, yeah, that's my bad. Shaymin cannot use its ability. I can potentially set up another Vileplume here. Potentially. Well, not another Vileplume, a Vileplume, but I have no supporter card after this turn, so maybe not. And I'll just do 10 damage. Now my opponent has 5 energy, now 3, so the Jirachi kind of goes against what I would have liked to do with the Lugia. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty much impossible to KO that Mega Mewtwo. And wow, my opponent has both Max Elixirs and Mega Turbos. Okay, maybe the way I win here is by decking out my opponent. Maybe? No, probably not. He still has a ton of cards, he still has ways to retreat, and I only have one Lysandre. So yeah, no, never mind. Never mind, that's definitely not the way. I'm just gonna concede here, guys. There's no chance here. Absolutely no chance. I'm not getting the Vileplume out early enough, which is a hindrance to the thinner 2-2-2 line. There were points where I could have found the Vileplume. Well, there was one point where I could have found the Vileplume, but I didn't think it was like the optimal scenario to do so. And now we're up against Volcanion. So yeah, I mean, John did beat quite a few Volcanions in his Anaheim run, but I wouldn't call this a good matchup ever, and not with this hand either. Definitely not with this hand either. Getting rid of 2 Decidueye, that's going to limit my bench damage a lot. Okay, what can my trainer's mail find me? The Revitalizer, which is completely useless at this point in time. So I will discard both Decidueyes. I need to lock my opponent down. That's what I need to do. There's only one Vileplume. There's actually only one Vileplume in my deck. Once again, one Vileplume is prized, so I don't have too many high hopes. Okay, we get a pretty okay hand. I also get 1 energy, which I guess I'll attach to the Rowlet, and I will Shaymin for 4 more cards. Can I get the Vileplume out? No, I cannot. No, I cannot. I do find one Revitalizer, but I don't have the Dartrixes, so it doesn't matter. And yeah, my opponent is using a non-Shaymin version of Volcanion. If I had locked him this first turn, things would be going great, because look, Nest Ball, Sacrifice. Since my opponent is not using Shaymin, he's relying on an item-based draw engine. So Vileplume would have definitely locked him out of the game, most likely. But that's just not gonna be the case. For Nest Ball, for Acrobike, for Trainer's Mail? Is that what my opponent is playing? It would make sense. And that actually sounds decently appealing, I guess. You could even play Dive Balls in that version and run Octillery, because the Dive Balls can find the Volcanion EX. And he also discarded an Escape Rope. Finds the Max Elixirs. He didn't discard any energy, so his deck is probably filled with energy. And yeah. If he has 3 energy in his hand, he will be able to one-hit KO my Shaymin-EX. There's one of them. There's 2. And there's 3. Wow. Wow. I actually mean that. Wow. Okay. Yeah. This is not okay. At least we'll be able to set up one Decidueye. But how useful is that actually going to be here? The energy I'm gonna end up discarding, because I'd rather start attacking with something like Tauros, which I can find, or I can find the Vileplume, but I can't find both. I cannot search for both. So I think setting up the Vileplume is a better idea here. Whoops. I actually think setting up the Vileplume is a better idea. So that's my second Lysandre though, so I'm gonna be playing Lysandre less. Tauros is there, Lugia is there as well. I just couldn't draw them. My opponent is now effectively locked. And I could Shaymin, that's true, to deal just that little bit of damage. And I'll just sacrifice the Oddish here. I was about to click the Vileplume. Okay. And that's fine. I can take that. Or I will take that, rather. Power Heater. Wow. He chooses not to KO the Oddish, which is either really good or really bad for me. Okay. I'm gonna keep putting on damage onto the Volcanion, but I still can't find an alternate attacker here, which is bad. And I mean, I'll end here, sure. I finally find the Tauros. Okay. That Volcanion EX is slowly getting into range of my Decidueyes. Like 2 more turns. No, 3 more turns. gets the knockout. 3 more turns of abilities. Which is fine, because if I don't pressure the active Volcanion with anything other than Shaymin, that's actually okay, I think. That is actually okay. And if he attacks into the Tauros... Okay, there's another baby. And there's a power heater. Not discarding any energy. Now, in theory, I can still play the 7 prize card game. But that turn 1 knockout on the Shaymin makes me feel really bad about my position. The grass energy. Who do I attach the grass energy to? I guess the other Decidueye? Yeah, I guess so. Just in case. And I will Sky Return here. Now, I definitely promote Tauros. Will he go crazy with abilities this turn? That's not something I can know. But the Decidueyes are very well poised to take the KO on the bench Volcanion. Not the next turn, but in a couple of turns. I still have 2 Sycamore and 1 N. Okay. He attaches to the active. Is he actually going to be able to KO my Tauros by retreating? Are you serious? Does he actually have the 3 fire energy he needs? No, okay. So he just goes for a volcanic heat. Which is absolutely terrible. Well, it's not the worst. If I had a Lysandre here, it'd be great. And now, because of that Lugia top deck, I wish I had saved that energy. 80. Well, I should still be able to get the knockouts on this Volcanion EX with my Lugia. Oh. Wow, I am so bad. I needed the DC to KO with Tauros. Wow, that's absolutely terrible. That is actually absolutely terrible. Okay. Wow, that was such a bad mistake. That was such a bad mistake. Now he free retreats. He has 6 energy total in play and 2 in the discard pile. He replaces my stadium. If he has a Lysandre, he wins. And he has yet to play any. Yeah, that was absolutely terrible on my part. That was absolutely terrible. Okay. The only way this isn't absolutely terrible is if I'm able to set up another Decidueye off of this Sycamore. So I need to find my last Dartrix and my last Decidueye. And I don't. So now I have to hope he doesn't have either a Lysandre or 2 fire energy. But yeah, I completely misplayed this. Completely. Utterly, completely misplayed this. Oh boy. And I'm sure he has a 2 fire energy though. I'm sure he does. And yeah, he immediately promotes. He does have the fire energy. It's either 2 fire energy or a Lysandre off of that 9 card hand. At least 4 energy left. Is he slow playing me? Slow rolling rather? Is he slow rolling us, guys? I don't know. Does he really not have it? Does he really not have it here? Looks like he doesn't. But that Olympia is huge. That Olympia gives him an extra turn. And he has a fire energy in his hand. Okay, well, we are alive still. I really need an end though. And I get the Rowlet, but I don't have the okay. I need to not KO right here. But if I deal 120 damage, okay. Oh, that KOs. Uh-oh. That, oh, yeah, that KOs. If I KO, he only needs one fire energy, which he did have, but he chose not to use. So I should not have attached. Do I retreat? No. No. Well, maybe. Maybe I do retreat. Well, it comes down to does he have a fire energy, so it doesn't really matter. It comes down to does he have the fire energy. Or the Lysandre. Well, he didn't slow roll us the previous turn, so maybe he actually doesn't have it. One grass energy, so there's one grass and one DC left in my deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus 2 damage counters. Wow. It's gonna be an interesting end of the game. Wow, he chooses to Volcanic Heat. Okay. Okay. This is huge. I think we win here. I think we are actually going to win. Okay. My first ability will net me 2 prize cards. And he cannot promote the Volcanion. Otherwise I win, because I'm down to 1 prize card. He has to promote the Volcanion EX. So, with my other ability, I need there to be 8 energy, which is the thing I did top deck. I also got the Decidueye off of my prize cards. So yeah, we are good here, guys. We are good here. And yeah, I'm gonna Air Ball. I could also dip Hurricane. That was super intense, and huge props to my opponent for having such a cool deck. That was a really great match. Wow, really great match. And yeah, guys, a little bit shorter. Please keep in mind, as you are watching right now, it's very likely that I am on my way to Australia, so I need to pre-record 2 weeks worth of videos. So they'll be between 30 and 40 minutes instead of a little over 40 as they usually are. And yeah, I hope you guys wish me luck in Australia. I really would love to come back with my invite secured from Australia. And yeah, that's gonna be it from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like on the video if you can. And I guess for those of you who didn't watch Friday's videos, I recently got fired from my job, actually just last week. So Tablemon is now my full-time job, and therefore all of your support and all of you guys watching the videos and liking them and maybe not using adblock or whatever, or checking out Patreon, all of that really helps me out. So thank you guys so much, and yeah, I'll see you guys on Wednesday in English. No job also means that there will more likely be now daily content. I said that a few weeks ago when Sun and Moon came out, because I know how well the channel did on that week where I did daily videos, and I said I didn't have time to commit to that yet, but now I do. So starting April, we will probably see a lot of changes to the channel, and they're like the number one priority on my to-do list is bring you guys daily content. So that's gonna be a thing. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. Bye bye.